A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secrets Revealed Aftersought Part 2. I'm pretty excited about how much the Ultra line has evolved, and you're going to get to see a lot of blasters being talked about in this series alone. At least for a second season of this thing entirely that I've been doing with my life. Just to know the fact that Nerf blasters happen to interact in all sorts of different ways with my own experiments. I'm especially proud to note that the Ultra 12, which, well, Hasbro will call it the Select, because its signature function is to select between two different clips of Ultra darts. But not just any Ultra darts. There are, in fact, a total of two different kinds of Ultra darts that this blaster indeed comes with. It comes with the standard Ultra darts, which I've dubbed the Flyers, in the same way that they eventually released another kind of dart called the Screamers, which act like Whistler darts. And then of course there was an all-new Ultra dart that they made, which they suspected was the most accurate of all of them. And if you've seen Nerf Secrets Revealed Distance Gauge, for example, then you probably would know that this was indeed the case. But other than the fact that the Ultra 12 was the blaster that introduced this whole new kind of dart, it's still an impressive breakthrough to give us a more accurate version of the Ultra dart at some point. But just to know that this blaster comes with both these and standard Flyers is another pretty interesting aspect by all accounts. Something else, of course, is just the fact that this has some pretty well done ergonomics. The signature sort of triangle style muzzle that they use, especially when you look in front of it. That's a pretty unique sort of touch that they use, mostly for aesthetics. The iron sights that they mount on the top in another sort of polygon sort of arrangement. You have yourself a little foregrip right here on the bottom, which also doubles as the selector, which allows you to choose between pinpointers or Ultra darts. Flyers, if you will. Though, of course, you could always just simply use Flyers or Screamers or even the Gold Star darts, as I refer to a gold-colored Ultra dart that came with the Ultra 9, or Pharaoh, if you will. But by all accounts, I'm actually saying that this was probably a good innovation in terms of the Ultra line, yet not necessarily as much of an improvement as what we've seen in the 2020 season of the Ultra line entirely. A lot of new blasters came out that year, and with 2021 not being as big of a year as 2020, it's probably not that good of a thing to have around, because the Ultra line certainly has progressed to a point where it's probably the next biggest line that we've seen so far. And it's also gotten down to the point where I actually am excited to say that I actually made my own tier list concerning this lineup entirely. Although I did give it a pretty good ranking, I don't necessarily call this any better than the likes of what we've seen with the Ultra 9 or the Ultra 3, for example, and many other cases. But in terms of how it fires, well, it's simple by using the motorized flywheel system that it comes with. And it does fire them pretty well. I really ought to say that, because again, if you went over the distance gauge, you probably would notice that this blaster does give a pretty considerable amount of range put into it. Now I have selected the pinpointer darts. Yeah. It's pretty much just like how you might expect to see with the confines of all sorts of Ultra darts entirely. But another unique aspect that I actually found out later was the fact that this is probably the only leading example of an Ultra flywheel blaster that has full auto capabilities. So let's go ahead and try it out. That's pretty much the Flyers. Now time for the pinpointers. So yeah, that's pretty much what you pretty much need to know. And so that pretty much just concludes the basic portion of this exact sort of review slash overview slash contextual progression. But now I got 2 empty clips right here. And just as a little bonus, I got 2 different types of brand new Invisibullets to add on to this. So we're gonna go ahead and fill these up pretty much. Not necessarily all the way to the top, but just to a point where we can use these darts to our advantage. These Invisibullets, I have no idea if they're actually going to work very well, but it's probably about time that we actually pick up a good opportunity and find out for ourselves. Now, I got lower caliber full auto Invisibullets as well as higher caliber ones to pretty much directly align or parallel with the 2 different kinds of ultra darts that this blaster came standard with. And we're going to try out the lower caliber ones first, just to see what could happen. Now, wow, that is a pretty powerful specimen if I do say so myself. I do feel like I might have some kinks I might need to adjust first before this thing becomes an optimal piece of machinery in its own right. But now it's time to go for the higher caliber ones. I should probably brace myself though, because these ones could be powerful. Wow. That one actually felt different than I realized. So this just goes to show that I've got 2 different kinds of Invisibullets out there for all y'all to see. And I also do have a lot of other innovations that I might in fact need to piece together, just so the Ultra 12 could probably be one of the best Ultra Blasters that I could have possibly modded in this case. But hey, just to use the fact that it has full auto motorized flywheel action, 2 different kinds of Ultra Darts, including a brand new, more accurate style of Ultra Dart that we had never seen before, and then of course, with some nice ergonomics, a large tactical rail, and some other nice features, this blaster sure is quite a blast to have in your collection. If you could pick up one right now, brand new, they might cost you quite a bit. Especially because when blasters get rarer, they shoot up in value over time. And so that just pretty much concludes this little talk on this large blaster. And if you want to see more, go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.